Hey Kim, glad you hopped on. So I told Carrie I have exciting news in the continuing cookie saga, which is that completely unaware to me until this moment right before class, um, Kai and my mom are baking cookies. So I'm actually smelling it. So
Smell-o-vision.
yeah, it's total smell-o-vision. So I bring the cookie awareness into our midst, continuing from last week. So from cookies to communication, that's sort of the theme of where we're going tonight. And we're all about communication energy. And we're going to be doing some live play with the people who are here tonight. Since it looks like it's a small group, what I'm also going to make a note of doing is giving some recommendations of ways that all of you can do this with people at home, with your colleagues, with your friends, with your mentor and mentee, and maybe even jump up and make a connection with one of your peers as well, because it's really valuable to get this kind of feedback from other people. So this is the transition. Next week we start really moving away from this kind of this first what do you call it? The first sort of triad of our curriculum, which is really about ourselves and looking at various aspects of our abundance in a way of exploring them as lenses to understand ourselves better, which of course is fun and can be invigorating creatively, but also gives us a real tangible experience in terms of then sharing that with other people. Next week really starts the transition where we're really looking at, okay, how does this work? How is this work used with other people? And this, hey Sue, this goes in a couple of different contexts. And I think I've talked about how ACT for the first couple of sessions was just a coach training program. And then fairly early on, I want to say it was ACT 3, it was fairly early on, I was getting feedback that there were people who were interested in seeing how else they could explore our abundance through some other avenues. And so that's when the practitioner route was developed. And so for a while we had really these sort of two tracks, a coaching track and a practitioner track, and people got to choose which one they wanted to take. However, the vast majority were choosing both, which was fantastic, and actually to really great results, because by exploring, especially when we get to the peer practice, by trying out each of these hats, for many people, they were able to discover something that they may not have thought of ahead of time. So for example, I've had lots of people who've said they have no interest in coaching. They really did ACT more for presentations and teaching workshops and the like. And then when we actually got to the coaching material and practice, they're like, oh, this is really fun and really enriching, and vice versa. Plus, there's so much that's just so applicable to both. I mean, they really are so similar in so many ways. So now we don't really have two tracks, but we do separate where we have a couple of weeks that really are about coaching, and then we separate out speaking, presentations, and teaching. So next week is when we're really going to begin our several weeks on coaching. And so this week sort of serves as this bridge, because we're still looking at our own communication energy. That's what this week is about. It's going deeper into this concept of communication energy and going more deeply into that as a bridge to next week, where we're really going to be talking about how you use art assignments in a coaching session. what they are, how they work, 3 different ways to present art assignments, 3 different ways to come up with the topic words about them. We're actually going to start having some sample coaching right in the moment with partners to see how things work. It's a great way to kind of kick things off. So next week's going to be a great class. So communication energy, this is our theme for today. So I want to start with an art assignment, and I invite you to draw a picture of you coaching a client. However it comes out, draw your sketch, doodle, picture, scribble, however it wants to come out is just fine. And bring that sketch or drawing or doodle to a close. And now add something to that drawing that represents the energy in between you. However it comes out is perfect. And when you're ready to share your drawing and show it to us and share what it brings to mind, just raise your hand. Great. Carrie?
See that?
Yeah.
So I drew me trying to remember to listen a lot more than I speak, which is something I'm actively working on. And then people doing stuff. So whether they're singing or popping balloons, something that's fun.
And what do you notice about the energy in between you? What was that like?
Yeah, it looks quite strong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm struck though that there's more energy coming from me to them than them to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that I'm curious about.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. I love those great big ears.
Yeah, well, didn't Dumbo the flying elephant have them as well?
Yes, Dumbo the elephant. Who else has a drawing to share? Sally, will you show us yours? Great.
Yeah, I wasn't going to. I'm having troubles with my internet. It's unstable. So if I freeze, that's why. So actually, it was interesting because it came up as 2 kind of interlocking, intersecting hearts.
Mm.
And then the energy that was being exchanged was actually experiencing the flow of energy together, which is
Mhm.
different because normally there's something going between me and the other person, and this time was us sharing in the same energy experience.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And your connection went really smoothly as well. Sue or Amy, would either of you like to share? Sue, hey, great.
Can you hear me, or do I need to press something?
No, you're
Unmute.
good.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
I turned you on. Yep.
Oh,
And okay.
thank you. Do this drawing here. At first I didn't have eyes. I was trying to find a black. But yeah, I draw myself here, and
Mhm.
the other person, because I didn't have a black yet, I didn't do eyes, but I found it was like this really lovely meditation sort of thing that was happening. And there's a lot of calm, and then in between I put all the like these lovely curves and
Mhm.
hearts, just really creating a nice space that could share together and talk. And I just got that warm smile. I think the person I'm coaching looks like they might have been anxious and worried about things, but just feeling calm and allowing that space for them.
I love that. I love how serene that client looks. Is there anything that you look at when you just look at the drawing itself that you're curious about?
I think as I'm looking at it, I'm drawn to her chin because I've accidentally put a couple of weird lines there, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is sort of interesting. It's just a beautiful drawing. It's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, there is something sort of interesting, the lines coming from her mouth.
Actually, and it's amazing how you talk about those things. And then I felt she feels like she can't speak, like she's been silenced in her life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's allowing that and patiently waiting, and just whatever's calmly able to be shared in that time. Yeah.
Yeah, the awareness that there may be some block there. There may be some blockages, and to have them some time, to allow some time. Sue, I wanted to show you, I don't have as many of yours, but I have the same little like twirly, the same little shape, right? Just the same shape that you did. So that's kind of cool. We have the same little communication energy thing happening. So that's kind of neat. So first of all, just drawing. Oh, sorry, Sue, were you saying something?
I was just saying I use that a lot, that it's almost like, these waves, these beautiful waves coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly. And in fact, I was looking at mine when I was looking what I was curious about. There are a few things I'm curious about, but I also noticed that was sort of a yin yang almost, kind of a distorted one at that, but so this exercise of just drawing yourself and a client and then drawing the energy in between you, it's actually such a great centering exercise before coaching. And it's just such a great way to kind of bring back that feeling of, okay, here's me, here's this person, and here's what's going on in between us. And it's inviting the idea that there's more to a session than just us and the client, that there's something else there. Now that something else is going to be different for all of us. And in fact, it may be even described as something ourselves and our clients may even describe it in different ways. But there's something that we can know that there's another support there. So one thing that I like to think of as a way that kind of encapsulates it all. So whether it feels like it's Holy Spirit or the Muse or just the power of Mother Earth or the magic of our abundance, whatever that is, talk about the energy of the session. And just the session is this container that has its own energy. And that we can trust that, and in knowing that, we can kind of pull back a little bit because the session knows more than we know. And there's a wonderful quote that I always love to use at this point, Madeleine L'Engle, the author, who says, "The artist knows more than the story knows." And this is our way of saying similar, that in the work of art that is a coaching session, that the session itself knows more than we do. And thus is part of that, is part of that entity. And so just drawing that before a session and after a session, I find is such a helpful way of adding to my own note-taking experience, because it's a great way to document energetically beforehand, getting really centered, and then afterwards sort of having a documentation or an archive of what did happen energetically. Look at your picture again and think about this idea of the energy of the session and see if that's already in your picture. It may already feel like what's happening between you is that. Or it may be that there's something else. Is there something else that's coming forward in your drawing that wants to represent the session? Anyone have any thoughts or experiences? What happened when you thought about bringing the session in? Yeah, Melina.
Well, here, I'll show you my drawing real quick. It's really tiny. It's a butterfly and a flower.
Oh.
And this is all little specks of something. That's I thought maybe it was pollen. What I realized was that flowers can't talk, I don't think, and butterflies don't talk. So then I was realizing that this is really about what's going on underneath, what's going on microscopically.
Mm-hmm.
And that the energy isn't coming from the mouth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. I love that. And when we're looking at communication energy, I love the way that you said it, microscopically, because that's exactly what it is. We communicate with our energy, that intangible expression of who we are, that microscopic, to use Melina's words, that communicates first before words do. And so our moods, our thoughts, our feelings, all of those things, they affect our communication, right? And so everything from if we feel that we are safe and that we feel like we're in a trustworthy environment, to how well slept we are, all of these things affect us and then what we bring anywhere, not just in coaching, but absolutely anywhere. I love the thought of microscopic communication. That's really cool. I'm going to write that down. Last week, we talked a little bit about the connection between intuition and communication. And when we incorporate energy into the picture of what communication is, then intuition really plays a big role. Because when our intuition is activated and alive, then we're far more aware of things that aren't just taken in by our regular surface senses. When our intuition is on, then we're more in tune with other people's communication energy. And we're also more aware of our own. So developing intuition means that we're aware of all those things that are unspoken, unheard, untouched, unsmelled, untasted. Intuition is the sense that picks up energy. So that's how intuition is really training for this realm of being in communication energy, being aware of our own and that of others. So communication energy is a powerful topic. It can also be potentially confusing, especially when it comes to the point of how to use communication energy in coaching. So my goal today is to play a little bit with communication energy, but also bring in a wider topic, wider context around coaching as well. My goals today are, number one, understanding the concept of communication energy, that it happens all the time, but also an awareness that we can use it when we're coaching. I want to talk about communication energy statements and your own understanding of what your communication energy is and why that's helpful. So those are the things that I want to talk about. A communication energy statement. The video last week, has everybody seen it now? We watched it live during the week. Kim, I love that I see your hand. Fantastic. Woohoo. That was awesome. Yeah, so communication energy, I think everybody here has a sense of what it is. And we also saw a wonderful assortment of examples of communication energy statements. So that's what part of your art assignment is this week, is to come up with your own communication energy statement, which is simply, my communication energy is, followed by the words that you are selecting and incorporating into your communication energy statement. A communication energy statement it's your own understanding of who you are and who you truly are. One question that often comes up is communication energy something that can change? Can it be controlled? And so I actually, I'm going to bring that over to you and see if you guys, just from hearing that question, is communication energy something that can be changed and something that can be controlled, or something that can be or should be? I'm just curious how that lands on any of you. Anyone have a thought? Amy.
Up again. Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think, as Carrie was saying, I'm also trying to listen more. So hopefully my communication energy can change in that. I think my first time I did, my communication energy is natural, curious, fluid, and swings forward and back. And I think that the swinging of it maybe can change more to include more being in the side of the listening. So where I might have in previous communication energy statements said there's an equal back and forth flow, maybe future statements could change to be that it incorporates listening more.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps.
That's a great example. Yeah, that's a great example. What Sorry, I muted myself instead of Amy. What I say when people ask me this question is our communication energy something that can be changed? I think, as Amy said, communication energy changes all the time. I mean, it's constant. You know, if I didn't get a good night's sleep, or if I'm distracted by the smell of cookies or anything, you know, that's going to affect communication energy. However, a communication identity, which is the statement that we're exploring this week, there's a communication identity that is a constant, or that can be, that even there's part of it perhaps that's constant. And so that's something that this week is all about too, is exploring the subtle difference between communication energy and the way that we're always communicating with our energy, with our microscopic communication, but also the core things that are just who we are. So I always use that example. I talk about it in the video because it was so tangible, right? Of my father saying, you know, Marnie, you walk in the room and I feel excited and I feel full of energy. And, you know, when your sister walks in the room, I feel safe and like everything's going to be okay. Those are the constants between me and my sister. Our energy, our microscopic communication is always going to be changing, but those are the constants of who we are. And so knowing that identity doesn't mean we can't be other things. So I can certainly bring in a communication and bring in an energy that is soothing and supportive. But really, my true who I am is always going to be that excitement and enlivenment and that kind of energy. So there's something to pinpointing those things about us that are not the things we do, it's the things that we are. And the things that we can't not be if we're being authentic. It doesn't have to mean we always are that way. You know, there's certainly contexts and environments where, you know, being vibrant and playful in my energy isn't appropriate, or it may need a different kind of channel. But it can be really helpful to know what are those words that are at the core of who we really are when we're not trying to be something else. So communication style, communication tools, those are something that you do. And a communication energy identity is who you are. So knowing your communication identity, which is what I'm asking you this week to identify in a statement, it doesn't mean you never change. It just means that you know who you are and you have an anchor to come back to. Why does it help to have an anchor? It helps to have an anchor. This statement acts as something that can ground you. That's why it's helpful to have this statement that says, my communication energy is, or my communication identity, communication energy identity is. You know, when you're nervous, and that's just a great thing to come back to if you're feeling nervous. This could be in a professional context. It could be when you're coaching, you're about to speak or make a presentation. It could also just be in your interpersonal life. Just having that statement that just comes back and says, my communication energy identity is open, heart-centered, and deeply nourishing, for example. An anchor is also helpful when you feel like you need to figure out what to do. And this is something we're going to talk about a lot when we get in our next few weeks of coaching, because that's one of the biggest habits to break, whether you're brand new to coaching or you've been coaching a while. In our abundance, we completely pull away of having to figure out what to do. In fact, I say the more clueless you are about where the session is going, the better the session is going, because the session knows more than we know. And so we're going to talk about how to be really clueless and how to kind of let your hands up off the steering wheel. And that can be really uncomfortable sometimes, to feel like I am, I'm holding the presence of this session, I'm using my tools, I don't know where this is going, and how to feel confident in that. And so communication energy identity statement can be helpful in those moments when it's like, I need to know what to do. So in the abundance model, when you're coaching, you never have to know what to do. It does help to know who you are. So if you know who you are and you know what your tools are, then you just let the session do the work. Whenever you're feeling uncomfortable or out of your comfort zone, we talked a little bit about last week about how often, or I think it was last week, we were talking about things that can get in the way of really free and positive communication. One of those things was when a client is dealing with an issue that either you're dealing with right now or you've dealt with recently, and how that can kind of be a trigger and get us out of really being in that receptive place for the client. So yeah, in those moments when you feel uncomfortable, or somebody's coming and they're saying the exact problem that you're having in your own life, and so it's easy to go to, oh great, how am I supposed to help with this one? Again, you don't have to know what to do, just know who you are. So having that statement can be really helpful. Professionally, whenever you talk about you and your work, your communication identity, this statement, and this knowing is so awesome to have, because it is a way to really know not just who you are, but how you show up. And when you're in a situation where you're talking about what you do and why you love it and how you do it, that is actually can be something that even that the communication energy statement even comes up as you're talking about why you love this work and what you like to bring forward. Whenever you feel like you're needing to show up differently, like however you show up isn't enough, or isn't accepted, or isn't what the market wants, or whenever you're feeling pressure to do something different than feels natural, that's another time that having that statement, that knowledge is really helpful, is that it reminds you, okay, this is who I am. I'm not the person, I don't have to be this person that, I'm learning about in this course about 12 steps to be successful. I don't have to be that person. This is who I am, and it's different for everybody. Any kind of communication forms that you do in your business, your website, your social media posts, your marketing, your announcements, your programming, anything that you do, it's awesome to have a communication energy statement that kind of acts like a filter because the image that comes to my mind is, okay, so I made a flyer. Let's say I made a flyer. And then I have this communication energy statement. And if I can imagine just metaphorically placing the statement as an overlay on top of the flyer, do they match up? Does every marketing letter or invitation, does it match up to who I really am? It's a great way to find that, that barometer, because when we're feeling most authentic, that's when we are going to be most magnetic, right? We're going to be most comfortable, but we're also going to be most attractive and interesting to other people. Whenever you feel that you are diminishing or diluting yourself, sort of undercutting yourself, or you're feeling small or feeling like you need to make yourself small, it's great to just remind yourself of that statement and let yourself be a match to that. and that statement, whatever it is enough. It also is really helpful, the last thing that I'll say about having this statement or this concept is that it's helpful to know your personal pitfalls, okay? Where your communication identity could be particularly vulnerable, right? We talked about this a little bit last week, how to think ahead about what impedes communication, whether that's environmental, I have a loud dog that barks, or whether that's self-esteem. Sometimes I can get kind of down on myself, and so I start worrying too much what other people are thinking, or whether it's an energy and sustaining energy for longer than half an hour. We all have things that get in the way of our communication. And knowing who we really are and knowing the potential pitfalls, the potential obstacles of that communication energy is very, very helpful. One reason why our abundance tools are so much fun to play with for me personally, and my very lively, energetic communication energy, is that the tools are there to help me with one of my pitfalls, which is that potentially I can not pull back because my energy is up, 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 right? And so the tools help me pull back and make sure that there's plenty of time and space for the client to process, share, process, reflect, and lots of space for the client. So knowing what are our potential areas where our communication energy may, where that could get in the way. Gentle, soothing communication energy could come across to someone else as low energy or distant. And so, not that this person, this coach with the soothing, gentle communication energy needs to change. That's the whole point. Communication energy is what you are. However, it might be helpful for her to know that it can be really helpful when she's there with a client to do things to really represent and show to the client, yeah, I'm here. So maybe it's just something like the verbal assurances. Maybe that's just something for that coach to know can really help get past that possible pitfall. So when we're looking at our communication energy, I've been saying a statement or a concept. This week I'll invite you to create a statement with words, but your communication energy doesn't have to be limited to words. It may be an image. One of the ones that was in the video last week is my communication is like a tuning fork. My communication energy is like a tuning fork. So it doesn't have to be limited to just words, but it's really helpful to have words that you can go to for all the things that I just talked about. So I just want to check in and just see if there's anything that comes to mind. I just talked about why having a pinpointed statement or identity is helpful. Is what, of all the things that I mentioned, what's the one that kind of resonates with you, or can you think of another reason why having that statement could be beneficial? Why does it help to have that statement that you can kind of lean into and know? If you've got a thought, raise your hand. Yeah, Sue.
I was just thinking, especially if you're meeting someone and getting to know each other, it probably makes a great introduction of, this is kind of how I work and how I feel. So as part of that, I guess that statement of, this is a bit about me, and how do you feel about that? How, particularly that early introduction, sort of getting to know each other. Yeah.
Yeah, just coming right, being very upfront. right? About saying that. I'm thinking of that in combination with what Sally just wrote on the chat, is that she loves a lot of space, but some people find that uncomfortable. And so something that could be helpful with when Sally's first, playing with somebody or still is diving in with somebody is actually saying something like that, straight out, saying just, I really like to give a lot of space. And so you'll be aware of a lot of pause. And I just invite you to become increasingly comfortable in the safety of that, for example. Sally, what were you going to add?
Well, I was going to add that it's really returning to our essence, and it's where we're very grounded and centered. And so by meeting someone at that place where we're very grounded and centered, I think really helps them. Like when we were drawing our images of coaching, like if they feel us being grounded and centered within our essence, communication, identity, then I think that automatically kind of makes them feel like it's okay for them to be in their communication identity as well. Up when somebody's uncomfortable. If someone's not grounded or centered in their own communication identity, there's not as much of a sense of safety, or there's a sense of, well, I'm getting mixed messages. I'm getting mixed energy signals within this situation, especially meeting with, someone.
That's a great point. And it often this isn't even conscious, right? It's not like, we're aware of not feeling safe or not feeling grounded because this person is not really comfortable with their communication identity. It's not that overt, but there is that feeling of safety when you're with someone who knows who they are. Yeah, I think that's great. It makes them more comfortable to be who they really are. Anybody else have a thought about why it's helpful or important to identify this little microscopic thing? Yeah, Kim.
Well, I think at first I kind of had like a little bit of a problem with it because I don't really like to get caught up in identifying with something like a personality or all that kind of stuff. But as everybody's sharing and talking, what kind of struck me is when I used to be a support worker, in transition, it was an identity for me. I didn't realize it until I was leaving the work, how identified with that position I was. With that was like a part of me. So I think it does help to create a boundary, like a professional boundary. And the way I worked at that time I wasn't that different as a person as I was in terms of how my style, I was kind of the same in terms of support as I would be with a friend, as I would be with a client. But I had a professional boundary there, if that makes sense. So I knew that was my job and I was a support worker, but I also knew I was a supportive person. So it didn't matter who, if I was helping a friend or a family member or if I was helping a client, there is a part of me that just was supportive regardless. That was just my person. But I did identify as a support worker, so there were other parts to being a support worker that I carried that would be different than in my personal life. Other expectations I would have on myself professionally. And so I think that's kind of what I'm thinking of in terms of identifying communication identity, having a communication identity. So it's not to be in a box, but I do think that it's important to have that professionalism there. And it feels like for me that it's kind of like a seat that I can slide into and a reminder if I forget, because I know that I'm a fairly I'm a pretty casual person in a lot of ways, and when I worked in that environment, and I know that's still about myself to be true, is that I am and was very casual. So I worked in a house, and I wore whatever I wanted. So it's easy to blur the lines. But I always knew that that's what I was, and so knowing that, I knew I had a certain set of boundaries around my job to do my job that enabled me to do my job. So I think because coaching is so, or at least I see it for myself. Like when I do my picture, we're sitting on a couch, cross-legged, and we're doing art together, and we're talking about it. So it's conversation. So when I look at that, and that's been kind of how I've seen I want to be in my coaching practice, and have that kind of environment and everything. So I think having that communication identity will also, like having that as a reminder, will also give me that extra bit of, I don't want to use the word box, like professional box, but that's what I mean, like a boundary around the role that I'm in. That makes sense. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I think that, there are a couple of things that come to my mind. One of them that I'll pull out is that, that even as you are aware of, the professional identity or the boundaries or those things, that a communication identity can remind you, hey, really when it comes down to it, I'm a cozy, comfortable, down to earth, relaxed. That's who I am. And so as I am, creating these structures that allow for boundaries and allow for professionalism, that we also, that you get to come back to, I'm a relaxed girl on the couch. My communication energy is like sinking into the couch with lots of relaxation. And
because I want my clients, and I don't even like that term. I mean, it's a term, but it's like I want them to feel safe and comfortable and know that that part is taken care of, so that they can relax and open up and share, and that there's a relationship that's building. But there's and it's not friendship, but there is it's the words that came out for me when I looked at the picture was like, we're co-creating something here, and we're like kind of it's a partnership.
Sure.
And but it's more for but it is also a client coach relationship as well.
Sure. Sure.
So it's I don't want to get stuck in the role or the label of all of that, or this boxes that can be stifling for myself as well, but also for myself. But it's to kind of have that, because I know how I'm when I am in that, I'm being supportive. I just go with my intuition of the moment. But I'm also aware of the different boundaries that are there based on whether it's personal or professional. And
so it's sort of interesting, because what I'm sort of hearing and is going on in my head is that it's almost ironic that a communication identity actually can help us step away from the boxes and step away from labels and identity, because communication energy identity, it's just the thing that we are. It's the thing that we can't not be.
Yes.
No matter what little box we're in or what we're showing up as, or, whether it's that if we're being ourselves, this is just some little piece that stays constant. So that's the piece that I'm inviting you to explore this week. It's not that you don't change, because we do, but what is that little essence that stays constant? It may show up in different ways. It's a color that may show up in different hues, slightly different saturations and tints, but it's always there. And so that's the communication energy, which lets us not have to worry about labels.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, perfect sense. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Carrie.
I think what I've just got from this conversation that's really important to me is, for the longest time, I've been working with coaches that want me to change my image, and be more professional and dress a certain way and have a certain looking website. And I keep trying to say to them with much frustration, but that's not me. Mm-hmm. And they keep saying to me, but this is what you have to be if you want these kinds of clients. And there's a part of me that absolutely does not believe that. I believe I can have any clients as long as I'm me, So for me, it's really important. It's about authenticity, and it's about having a statement so that I can really anchor myself and say, no, this is who I am. And, I don't care what all your other business clients have. This is me, and this is what I want for me.
Yes. And people are craving that, really, because especially in the coaching industry, there's so much that is, there's just so much that is, slick and shiny. And people are craving to find the connection that feels real to them. And the more completely unabashed we can be with our muchness, whatever it is, whatever we're afraid of being too much, whatever that is, or our too-ness, T-O-O-ness, whatever we think we're to this, the more we embrace that, the more we're likely to be attracting people who love us for just that. Now, we're also going to be turning off people who are not into that, and that's good. If everybody loves what you're doing or how you're showing up or your style or your approach, if everybody is loving that, then either you're not reaching very many people yet, because your circle's small, and that's okay, or you're being you're playing a little safe and being a little watered down version of yourself. Because for any of us, if we're on full, not everybody's going to love it, and that's good. That is a good thing, because if we're trying to appeal to everyone with our style, our approach, our method, our energy, if we're trying to appeal to everybody, then we're not going to really connect with the people who really do connect with us. And that's really important. I know that there have been times where, over the 17, 18-year trajectory in different things that I've tried, and I know it's when I know that I'm being most successful for me, when I'm getting people who are responding to, a teleclass saying, what is up with this girl and, these silly words, like, or, when people are actually saying that, that they don't like me. If I'm not getting that, then I don't think I'm really being myself, because then I'm just sort of being a slick professional presenter. And that's okay, but there are a lot out there. So it's like, think about the difference of being, 100 people's, if 100 people could think you were, oh yeah, pretty good. And what's the difference when, 10 or 20, you are that presence that they have been waiting for. So when I'm going and I'm, teaching a class with made up words and, wearing crazy party hats and, all that kind of stuff, there are going to be people there who are going to be rolling their eyes and going to be like, okay, this is a waste of my time. But there are also going to be people there who are saying, oh my gosh, I get this. Like, I can actually hear what this person is saying because it's a language that I understand. And that's who I need to talk to. The rest of the people, there are other places for them to get. That's what's awesome about, we look at, obviously the industry of coaching has changed so much since as long as I've been training people. But the great thing about the diversity and so many different types and so many different approaches, the awesome thing is abundance. It's because there's something for everybody. We don't have to try to fit everybody. We don't have to try to serve everyone. Because you know what? If you connect with somebody and they don't really connect with you, it's awesome. They will find somebody else that they will connect with. And that's part of communication energy too, and part of plugging into communities like the Our Abundance community, because it makes it very easy to refer to other people. And it makes it feel really, really good. It actually can feel really good to turn clients away to someone who will serve them better. That's awesome. That's abundance, is knowing that everyone can find the right coach for them. And a coach is such a personal, it's such a personal relationship. And so the best market, and we'll talk about this when we get to marketing, the best marketing tool we have as coaches is just being us, because that's what people are drawn to, is how they feel when they're with us. That's what they remember, is how they feel about themselves. You know, it's coming away. I'll talk about this when we get into coaching, but I'll go ahead and mention it here. It's a quote from the Tao Te Ching, that when the leader governs, when the master governs, the people aren't even aware that he exists, that they come away and say, wow, we did it all ourselves. And that's what I love about Our Abundance, is that after an Our Abundance session, somebody remembers, oh my gosh, I felt so good and I came up with all of this stuff. And they're aware of their own brilliance and how they felt. How they felt is because of your communication energy. Their own brilliance is because how you use the tools to bring those things out. So yeah, I kind of got off on a little tangent here, but I think it's what can, which again, people are either going to love or they're not, and that's okay, because, you know, my communication identity is pretty tangential. But what Carrie said is, I think, really important, is that there are plenty of voices that are out there that are telling us we need to be something else. And what Carrie said is so important, that if you're you, that we can get any clients we want. And in fact, by being us, we can be more likely to get the clients that really, really need us. So part of finding our communication energy and our identity, it is for feeling good about ourselves and feeling comfortable and feeling like we can love our work, but it's also a service for our future clients and students as well, because they need us to be that. You guys who work with me, you're here because you like to play, right? And be silly and you know, do sort of crazy things, and you know, take a class that's all about cookies just because, you know, that's why you're here. And you guys don't want me coming and teaching in a different way. That's not why you're here. And that's how it's true for every single person here, is that the people who need us to be who we are. And that's why knowing this stuff helps, that we don't have to pretend to be anything else. And for all of those image consultants and business consultants and all of that, I will hold my tongue. But I know those messages, Carrie, and yeah, your heart is telling you the right thing. That nobody else can tell us to be what we're not. So speaking of which, let's play with this a little bit. So usually when I have a bigger group, we split into groups, but we have a nice small group, so I think we can just stay in one group, and I think that'll be really fun. What we're going to do is we're going to actually play around with getting a little bit of feedback, input. So here's why input from other people can be helpful. It's not that we're asking anybody else. We're not asking them. We're not asking each other to say, okay, what is my communication energy? First of all, that would be the exact antithesis of what a communication energy identity is. However, it can be helpful because getting input, especially in a playful way, as we'll be doing, can show us some sides of us that we may not know. Remember, communication identity is decided by us, right? It's not something, we're not going to do one of these like leadership exercises where you like crowdsource from other people to find out what your own strengths are. That's not what we're doing here. However, it can be helpful to do some experiments to just get some ideas of how our communication energy, how it shows up and is experienced by others. Nobody's right or wrong. It's just fun. And it's a nice, safe environment to do this in. And so I'll be encouraging those of you who aren't here to find a way to play around and kind of replicate these exercises that we're going to do. So the first thing that we're going to do, grab some paper, and you'll need a good chunk of it. So for each of us, we're going to just create, it could be a page or a half a page. There's going to be one area for each of us here. And right now it looks like there are 6 of us, or 7 if you include me. And we're going to go around to each of us a couple of times. So think about, creating, you might want to take 4 pages and divide them in half, just that you can go back to it multiple times. So go ahead and just divide, and somebody said, oh, it was Amy saying she was going to come back. So I would say, if Amy's coming back, I would say to go ahead and make a spot for her, because she can jump right back in. So go ahead and make a spot for each person and just write down their name. And you can go ahead and put me in there too. And they can have full pages or half pages. It's really just about however you feel like you want to work.
Marnie, do you put yourself?
Yeah, definitely put yourself. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be inviting us to communicate with each other. And as we're doing so, I'm going to invite you, as I'm speaking with somebody, communicating with somebody, I'm going to invite you to create your impressions, your energetic impressions of this person's communication energy. And I invite you to start with doodles and drawings, but if words come up, you can certainly add them. But keeping it in a non-verbal place that taps into that intuitive sense. Now we're going to play around with this because we're going to try some different experiments. We're going to try with some communication when it's just listening. And we're going to try with some where there's no sound and it's just the visual. And actually, we're going to start with that one first. I'm going to take one at a time, and I'm just going to talk to you, and you're going to be on mute. We won't hear what you say. And I just invite everybody to watch this person and just tune into what you feel, and let that come out in a drawing or a doodle. Now, it's important to say you're not trying to figure anything out. It's just about really being with that person and making a drawing of just that feeling of energy. And you can't do it wrong. So no matter if you're in the hot seat and I'm talking to you, or you're doing the drawing, you can't do this wrong. This is just an experiment. Any questions about this? Let's give it a try. So I'm actually going to start, I'm going to start with Sally, actually. And I'm going to, I don't know if I can, I don't think I can make her big without, hold on, I'm trying to see if I can make her big but turn off her sound. Can you mute yourself right now, Sally?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, great. Okay, so I'm just going to talk to Sally for a minute. We can't hear what she says. Sally, you know, people often comment about that painting behind you. And tell the story. Tell me about where you first got that painting. And if you, is there if you could suddenly have any painting that you wanted, any image that you could stick on your wall, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
He's around her.
Which of the colors in that painting strikes you the most?
Tonight, it varies. Tonight, it's actually the cosmic energy, the dark midnight blue energy in the middle of the heart. But it varies.
Mm-hmm. When you think of that midnight blue energy, what else comes to mind?
Mystery and magic and potential and possibility.
What's mystery and magic? What's mystery and magic in your life? What role do those play?
I don't really see them as a role as much as an underlying energy of life, and living from that place of not knowing, and enjoying and delighting in the surprise and delight and wonder of not knowing.
Mm-hmm. And you all know that I obviously I unmuted Sally so that we could hear her, and continue with your drawing. You can add words if you like. And I also just invite you to close your eyes, all right? And Sally, this way you don't have to worry about turning your video off. You can just close your eyes as well. So Sally, we get to see what's behind you, what's in front of you, aside, like beyond your computer screen. And everybody just close your eyes and be with Sally here.
So in front of me, I have beautiful paintings of different women from a local artist. There's a mermaid and my angel of gratitude, and a beautiful earth mother lying in a field. She has a very impressionistic kind of style, very colorful, that I love. I have books, I have things to play with. I have a lot of my stones because I've loved rocks from a very early age. So I've collected many stuffed animals, play partners, craft materials, games, heart sunglasses, a little image that a friend made me of my muse of being Playgirl.
Playgirl.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So again, with this, we'll move on to someone else, but go ahead and take a moment and add whatever you took in And this takes a little bit of kind of letting go of thoughts, labels, to use Kim's words. It's really about a feeling and just being with. And of course, we were just with Sally with no sound, with the whole sound body experience, and then with just sound. So just take another minute and see if there's anything else that you would like to just add to your drawing of Sally. I think we'll be most efficient just sort of doing each person one by one rather than hopping around. All right, I'm going to go to Carrie next. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with Carrie muting herself. And she's muted now. And, you know, we were talking with Sally and the environment. So that's a fun part about Zoom. You have some paintings behind you, don't you? Oh, that over there. I was looking at the canvases. But that's really cool. Oh, look at your frog. Oh, tell us what's up with that frog. That's too much. I don't even know what you're talking about, but I'm delighted. I'm loving it. Do you have a frog memory?
Just loved it. There was nothing I enjoyed more than going to sleep with this whole orchestra of frogs just quack, quack. It was beautiful.
And I saw, it looks like you have a canvas behind you, like right, looks like over on the ground. I'm not on the ground, on the, like by your printer, I think, like right behind you. Just a canvas, like maybe in progress. Yeah. Yeah, what's
that? This is just the way of hiding my little bucket that keeps all of my writing supplies in. And it's a design that I've kind of copied, like I've done it on my table, the edges of my table. So it's kind of a way of matching things together that don't match and hiding things and disguising them.
Oh, that's awesome. Disguising things. That's really, really cool. You know, you were talking earlier, and it was so important about, about not being anybody but who you're meant to be. And is that something that you've kind of always been connected with, or is that something that has come to you more recently? Just that knowing that nobody else can tell me what my image is supposed to be.
Yeah, I think I went through a phase in my younger years when I was always trying to fit in with the in crowd. And so, you know, I think I lost myself a little bit there. And then I think I went through a solid chunk of really remembering who I was. And then just more recently, I paid for all this expensive business coaching. And it seemed to me that if I was investing all these thousands of dollars, you know, that I should be listening to the advice. And you know, I'm just not a person who wears high heels and paints my nails. And I'm just not a person who wants every little picture on my website to be the same size. You know, that sort of stuff just, I don't know, it's too cookie cutter for me. And so it's really become glaringly obvious to me. I even said this to one of the coaches the other day. If I can't be me, then I would rather not have a business. If I've got to remake myself into something that I'm not, this is too much for me. I'd rather just play.
Mm-hmm. And so now, you guys, I invite you, if you haven't yet, to close your eyes and just be with Carrie as we keep talking. Carrie, you said you'd rather just play. So what are some of the ways that you play, Carrie?
Oh, there's so many ways. So creativity is huge for me. Like the little frog that you saw there, you know, that was a friend. I invite my friends over for play dates, and we always take art supplies with. Or quite often we'll take balloons and we'll play games with balloons. Or we'll play with food, you know, so we'll do a taste test or something unusual. So I don't want to just get together with my friends always and just talk over a cup of coffee. I just want to do stuff where we can laugh and explore and, you know, see what comes out. And doesn't, you know, there's no wrong or right. It's just whatever comes out.
Mm. Mm. What's on your schedule tomorrow? What's something, or let me rephrase, what's something you're looking forward to tomorrow?
I am uber excited because tomorrow afternoon I'm offering a workshop, a webinar actually, on how to design and build your own pizza oven out of earth. For in other words, it won't cost you a penny to build it from beginning to scratch, from beginning to end. And I've never offered a webinar like this before. But I build out of earth all the time. I build little cottages. I build little sitting nooks. And I'm just excited to share the skill with people.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, yay. Oh, my goodness, that's fantastic. Wow. That's really cool. Awesome. All right. Add anything else you want to add to your little Carrie drawing or Carrie little montage, whatever's being created? All right, Kim, are you in a place that you can move to get your screen on you?
Hi. Yes, I am.
Good. Awesome. Okay, cool. Let's go. Well, I keep talking about environments just because with Zoom it lets us do that. Where you've been up and down with your screen. Where are you? Are you at home or are you somewhere else?
No, I'm in a coffee shop.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm always in a coffee shop because I work, when I get off work, I don't have time to go home. It's too far away. So in order to be on time for the class, so I'm always in a coffee shop, which I'm sorry, that's why there's some noise behind me sometimes. I try and pick the quietest spot, but.
Yeah, today you've got a quiet spot, don't you?
Yeah, a big room by myself.
Wow. Well, I'm admiring the little wood pattern behind you, and
yeah, there's these beautiful pictures all over the place too.
Ooh. Oh, that's fun. Oh, you have a nice little nook. Are you a coffee drinker?
Decaf, not a lot though. I just usually have one a day, but I like the smell
though. Like the smell. Cool. So I asked Carrie what she was looking forward to tomorrow. What's something that you're looking forward to tomorrow?
Do you want me to mute or just talk?
Right now. Oh, that's right. I started you this way, didn't I? Well, you know what? Just keep going with this, and then I will mute you at a given time. All right?
Okay.
So, thinking I was mixing up my orders. You know, usually when I do this, I just sort of pop around, and so we can kind of like flip through and do them in smaller groups. So I totally forgot. Yeah, let's just go ahead with this way. That sounds great. So what's something that you're looking forward to tomorrow?
I'm going to for work. We're going to an Indigenous, like a learning module for work. So we're going to First Nations house, and we're going to learn different creative things that they do and learn about their
think we're having a little bit of a connection issue. There we go. We got it. Sort of been going in and out. There was this one moment though where you froze and you had this beautiful smile. You were in the middle of a laugh, and it was so gorgeous. All right, so everybody, I invite you to close your eyes if you haven't yet, and I'll continue continue connecting. So, tell me a little bit about. What drew you here to Art Abundance? What was kind of your what brought you here?
Well, I had belonged to a coaching circle before, and it was very businessy oriented. And I found that, and my background is in coaching, which I love coaching, but I do find, like you were saying about the slickness of it in that, and I found for me there's a lot. It's very mind centered, and for me, I want to coach more from the heart and from a place of just being more connected and being more my authentic self, and really working with people in that place. And so I was just searching on the internet, and I was trying to. I didn't really know what I was looking for, but I was typing in coaching. I was typing in art coaching, and I was trying to think of what, not so much where I can go for certification, but where I can find a program that really I can connect with. And then I came across your website, and I was reading it, and I was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what. Because I kept trying to articulate what I was feeling when I was part of the coaching circle earlier this year. And I couldn't really do that. I just knew something wasn't right, something was off. And I found myself not really being able to be myself. And it was very linear, so we weren't doing anything artistic or creative. And I really love expressing through art. Mm-hmm. I find it really fun. And it's such a great way, an easy way to just drop into your heart and work from that place and your intuition and your center. And so when I saw your website and I was reading through Art Abundance, and I was like, this is what I'm looking for. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I found it, because there's nothing. Everything is become an art therapist or this, that, and that wasn't what I wanted. And so then I saw that you were having another Art Abundance coming up, and I couldn't believe the timing. And so then I just thought, okay, I'm just going to apply, and I'm just going to send her a note. And then it went from there. It was very fast. Cool. It was like kids.
Yeah, it was fast. You came in right at the little tail end there.
Yeah.
All right. So just bring your little collection for Kim. If a word comes forward, you can certainly add it. A word that kind of encompasses your experience here. Obviously, these are not, these are one little snippet things. These are not, global experiences. We're going to play with Melina. So, Melina, yeah, go ahead and, well, I like the combination. I like doing things in different order. Let's try it this way. Let's start with your eyes closed, everyone, while we listen to Melina, okay? So we'll do that first, and then I'll move to other things aside from that. So everyone, you can close your eyes if you like. So, hey, Melina, we're talking about environments. What's one of the favorite things in the room where you are right now? One of your favorite things? And our eyes are closed, so you don't have to show us. You can just tell us about it.
I like the collages that I've made, and I also like there's art that my mother's made on the wall. So I like a lot of things in this room. I actually tried to make this room so that almost everything is my favorite. I don't have an exact favorite. I feel good when I'm in here. I think maybe one of the favorite things is that when I'm in this room, I feel a certain way. I feel like I'm home, and I feel like I have an opportunity to be peaceful, and I'm very connected to my family because this is really the pass through to the kitchen. So everybody's walking by a lot. And so what I've discovered is that I don't, while I do like to have some time by myself, I don't really mind having these little surprise gems of interruptions, even when I'm doing this type of work, or even when I'm making a collage.
Mm. And I invite you guys to open your eyes if you haven't yet. Yeah, earlier I was talking about when you have your own child, and you're trying to control. I was talking about my own child. I was trying to, do behavior correction in my rehearsal, with my own child, and I saw you nodding your head, and you seemed sort of emphatic about that. What was coming into your mind at that moment? Do you remember? This is the beginning of class.
I remember you talking about that, and I just remember being in situations where my children have challenged me. I didn't think of one in particular, but how come so and so has one rule and then I get another one? Or that's one that just felt familiar, but I didn't have an exact example.
But you're like, yeah,
yeah. And I guess also I was remembering, because I've tried teaching children before, and when you've got a particularly challenging one, it always feels like, what is this one trying to teach me in this moment? There's like some sort of lesson, some sort of life lesson, and I'm like, man, I don't have time to sort this out. I just have to get this person under control enough that the other people aren't suffering. So I don't know. That's a hard one. I do better in smaller groups, I think.
You mean in leading?
Smaller groups, yeah, leading smaller groups.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I know that you make pies.
I do.
You make a lot of things, but I know one thing is you make pies. Is that something you still enjoy now that you do it professionally for work? Do you still find the joy in it?
I love it. I get lost in it. And I was just eyeing up the cherry tree up the street because it's ripe right now. And a friend of mine usually picks the cherries, and then I take the pits. And then in October, I make my daughter a cherry pie for her birthday. And
So I took you off mute. That's why I'm not knowing what I muted you, so that's why I don't know what you're. I think I just read your lips, actually, when you said that's all about your. I have you on mute. What is what's something that you'd love to make that you've never made before?
artist, so would like to be a featured artist. And they picked me to be a featured artist in July, and I have a workshop on July 7th, and I'm going to have like 18 pieces of these collages. And what I've realized is that I don't have to change the collage to look like a piece of art, because I'm not going to worry about what it's called. So this is all about the labels and not worrying about the labels. It's just about, this is what I do, and maybe some people will like it. Maybe. I'm not kind of too worried about it.
Thanks, Melina. You can add, everyone can add your own, anything else you want to add to your Melina drawing. And we'll do one more for Sue right after this. All right, we'll do one more. I know we're a little over time. We'll do one more, and then I'm really eager to share the experiences of what it was like, how it was different to do, you know, audio, video, and both. So I'm going to put a post on the forum right away. But if you can stay on, pursue, that would be awesome. So let's see, here's Sue. I'm going to see if I can mute you to start that way first. No, I think you have to mute on your end. Can you mute, Sue? Easier said than done. There you go. Yep, you got it. You've got some beautiful sunshine coming in through your doors, don't you? Oh, Sue, I'm trying to unmute you, and it's not actually letting me, because I think you've done something. Will you unmute on your end?
Unmute.
There
Done.
you go. Perfect. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Okay, you can keep talking now.
Oh, okay. I was giving a bit of a tour around the place. I'm sitting in the lounge, and it's winter, it's cold, but it's actually blue sky and sunny outside. So I've got all the windows are around me, so having that natural light coming in. It's a very open house here. So I'm sitting on my comfy lounge with the blankie, and then it walks through to another space where I can do art, dining area, and the kitchen. Yeah, out by the front door down here.
How long have, this is your home where you are?
This is my home.
Yeah. How long have you lived there?
6 years.
Mm.
Yeah. It's a lovely big place. So I've got upstairs as well. And originally the master bedroom was going to be, I think, my counseling room or a studio. I've had Dave do work in the studio, but I've actually got a friend there at the moment. And she sings at night, but she's having a sleep now. And I've got this part of the house downstairs to myself.
And where, 6 years ago, where were you living then? Were you
Oh, okay. Yep.
in the same area or somewhere else?
Well, I'm in Berwick now, so southeast of Melbourne. And I used to live just like the other side of the freeway, although you can get stuck in traffic and take about an hour to drive out that way. We used to be in Ferntree Gully and probably near Baronia. And yeah, lots of trees. Oh no, I just realized that my battery might be going.
Oh, that's all right. Okay. So if you haven't yet, everybody close your eyes. Sue, what's a piece of art that you're working on or that you've worked on recently? Just tell me about it.
Oh, okay. I've got lots of things going at the moment, lots of ideas and sketches. So, busy with the Art Abundance sketches. And I'm planning on doing some photo books and also a painting printed up. I've got a big exhibition and workshops I'm planning for. So I've got like a whole heap of things kind of going at the moment and keep trying to take notes and organize all these thoughts and ideas. Yeah.
When is that coming up? That the exhibit or exhibition that you just said?
Yeah. So that's from the start of October to the end of January. So I've got a lot of time. And yeah, that's why this is a time where I'm like even looking at Art Abundance and how that works in my life, and yeah, trying to organize some books and things so I can show different things in my life. And I want to help people with disabilities, because in Australia we've got NDIS coming out, National Disability Insurance Scheme, and as someone who's I've struggled with a lot of health issues and disability myself, I'm trying to enable people a voice, and particularly through the Art Abundance tools, be able to work through and share goals and what's on our heart. And as part of that, I'm still, building my story, how I communicate what's happened in my life and what's happening and where I'm going. And yeah.
Cool. Oh, thank you. Don't worry if your battery is going.
Yeah, hopefully that'd be fine.
Okay. Cool. Well, this was interesting because, I've done this in lots of different ways, especially pre-Zoom. There's sometimes when, and this is the first time I think that I've really honed in on just kind of chatting about everyday things, rather than asking about, like deep passions and purpose and because that's often is sort of I've done that in the past too. This is a really fun experiment. Let's just I want to be mindful of our time. I know I've kept us over. Let's just take each person and just hold up our drawings, and then we can share on the forum. But what I'd really like to share, and I'm going to go post it right now before I even go to the bathroom, I'm going to post a phrase that, a thread asking you, what did you notice about this exercise? How did it make you aware of communication energy? And I'd love for you to share that. Let's just pick up, let's show our drawings for Sally. Just hold them up just so Sally can see. She'll just see them all together. So Sally, if you're not on gallery view, if you click in the upper right corner.
Trying to get a blank page.
Okay, and let's share your drawings for, let's see, for Carrie. Oh, Sally's got little quadrants there. Oh, look at the little frog. And let's see, we didn't do Amy. Kim. and Sue. And Melina. So I totally invite you, if you'd like, to share your drawings that you made with the person, maybe, and maybe just if you can post those or just whatever's easy. I don't want it to be a big overwhelming thing. But it was really nice to have just the small group to be able to do this. I'm going to go post that right now. So if you can give yourself 5 minutes to respond before you go to something next, that would be awesome. Interesting experiment? Yes? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. This week is all about continuing this and continuing to be aware of those things as you're going through your day, thinking about taking in this sense, right? Using intuition to pick up on these things. We'll have a great week. And next week we get into coaching and art assignments. I'm excited about that. Thanks for staying on a little later. And for those of you who aren't here, let's figure out ways to get you doing this as well, because it's a great exercise. Bye, everybody. Bye.